Hi, I'm Lisa K. Donner, along with Andrew Moran, Sarah Cowgill, Jeff Charles, and James Fight. And this is the Conservative Five, Liberty Nation's online TV news program. The latest housing reports have some folks tripping down memory lane to the year 2006. Remember the housing bubble? It might be too early to tell if a market crisis is forming, but it's clear that the real estate sector has slipped into a recession. From falling sales to collapsing trust in the feds, the U.S. housing industry is getting walloped by an economic downturn fueled by, guess what, higher interest rates. So what's the data showing? And could this be as nasty as it was more than a decade ago? Andrew Moran, we go to our economic swami first.
Well, mortgage applications fell 1.2% as a 30-year mortgage rate climbed to 5.65%. If I think James will know that impression. I think no, James will know that. But anyway, so new home sales, they tumbled about 12.6%. Existing home sales have cratered nearly 6%.
Wait, I can't go forward until you tell me who the hell that was.
It's Visine. You got to get the red out.
Thank you.
Oh, Ben Stein.
Ben Stein.
Yeah, it was Ben Stein. Okay, I got that too.
Okay.
Andrew and I were cracking up about that.
I didn't get it.
The wonder years.
Thank you, Sarah. I didn't get it either. Go ahead.
I had no clue.
But this real estate market, I mean, it's on a complete downturn. You know, mortgage applications are falling, new home sales are tumbling, existing home sales are tumbling, pending home sales are tumbling, new housing construction activities is just collapsing. Overall, it's safe to say that this real estate market is in a recession. You see the surveys show that, you see industry observers saying that. So overall, I mean, this is a market that's on a complete downturn. And the housing market is a great indicator of broader recessionary effects too. But overall, I mean, and then if you look at price growth is also eased. However, if you look at some of the doom and gloom prognostications coming out, you have Fitch saying it's going to collapse 15%. You have a senior economist saying it's going to be like the 2008 housing crash. But I will say, in all this, negativity, I will say it's a bit premature to declare that it's going to be like the subprime meltdown of 2008 for two factors. One is that the mortgage delinquency rates of 30 days past overdue, that's at 2%. At the height of the housing crash, more than a decade ago, that was at more than 10%. Subprime mortgage, they account for very little now of the overall housing market. So overall, I think the U.S. real estate market, it's on a complete downturn, but I think it's premature to call it a complete crash or collapse.
Anybody out there wondering, I had a friend ask me, she said, what are you going to discuss on the show today? And I said, well, the recession in the housing market. She said, so what does that mean? Is it good to buy or is it good to sell? And I'm like, I don't know. Any ideas, anyone?
From what I've seen out here, it's not a good time to be trying to sell a place. I see a lot of properties for sale going up and down the road.
Yeah,
nobody buying.
Six months ago, there wasn't a house that stayed on the market more than a couple of weeks. A new listing would just go. And I live in the middle of nowhere, so that alone is interesting because we're bringing all sorts of people out into the boondocks, and houses were being sold for twice what somebody should have paid for them. And now my friends in the construction industry that are, dealing with this downturn, they have dropped their prices. They're laying off employees. It's really not pretty around here anymore. So, I don't know what those numbers equate to, but I can tell you that when people go from having full-time jobs and so busy they work 6 days a week to sitting at the pub at 2:00 in the afternoon because their job got called off, then there's a problem.
But Jeff, didn't we know this was going to happen once they started raising the interest rates? They ratcheted them up once, they ratcheted them up again. You know.
I mean, I know this because of Liberty Nation's brilliant economics correspondent, Andrew Moran.
Round of applause for Andrew. Yay!
Yeah. Well, here in Florida, it's an issue. I mean, there's higher median prices. Mortgage interest rates are up. Inflation is an issue. So we're having a lot more listings here in Florida, too. Last month, sales of single family homes totaled, it was down 22.9% year over year.
Wow.
So it's an issue and it's hitting everybody.
Can I touch upon what Sarah said, sorry, I just want to touch upon what Sarah said quickly. Two things. One is that when she mentioned about, houses going really fast, if you look at some of the recent data, I think it's either the NAR data or the Census Bureau data, it shows that the months of supply, which measures how long it would take to exhaust the current level of activity based on present sales activity, it's at 10.9. I mean,
okay, you gotta slow down. You gotta slow down. Say
What does
that
that
again.
even mean?
So the months of supply data, it's at 10.9. This measures how long it would take to exhaust current levels of inventory based on the present sales activity.
10.9 months, 10.9 years, 10.9 months, days.
10.9 months. It's at 10.9 months. And that anytime that number goes above 9, there's a steep economic downturn that happens shortly after. And that also is going to lead to a massive decline in prices. And also, Sarah mentioned about jobs. If you look at the NHAB housing index, anytime that goes up, anytime that goes down the way it has been, you see unemployment rate going up as well. So I think so you look at the technical analysis of those two, there's a huge indicator for the broader economy, which is
NAHB, National Association of Home Builders. Right. Woo! On you. Okay, guys, there will be an exam quiz following. Anyway, this is really strange, Jeff, because we were in Florida over the spring and we left, and the housing market was it was on fire. I mean, and you're saying it's really slowed down in Florida now. Well, that's really very telling.
It has slowed down quite a bit. I mean, and it may get better going forward. But I mean, there's also the issue of people who came to Florida because they wanted to get away from those COVID rules in their states. A lot of those people are starting to go back home now that, the COVID restrictions are easing up. So I've been reading a little bit about that, and that could, possibly free up even more listings.
Yeah, well, I hope, in this economy, I hope we all know how to pitch a tent. Thanks, panel. And that's it for our C5 panel today. Check out our other C5 shows and segments on your favorite video platform, YouTube, Vimeo, Rumble. We're on them all. As well, Liberty Nation has its own Roku channel where you can see all of our productions. Thanks for tuning in. And remember, surf on over to libertynation.com. Join us in the member zone for $17.76 a year. Thanks to our fantastic editor and post coordinator, Frank Diorio, and our executive producer, Sarah Calgill. I'm Lisa K. Donner, editor-in-chief. Thanks for joining us today. This has been a production of libertynation.com, where truth is making a comeback.